Okay, ma'am. So we are group 4 and we're assigned to discuss paragraph number 46 to 60. So we will directly present the selected paragraphs with foregrounding features and variation. So let's start with paragraph 46. Dayang, could you have forgiven a deformed orphan servant had he gone mad and lost respect and dread towards your Appa? Could you have pardoned his rabid temerity had he leaped out of his bed, rushed into your room, seized you in his arms, and tickled your face with his hair lip? I should like to confess that for at least a moment, yearning, starved, as tears. No, I cannot say it. We were of such contrasting patterns. Even the lovely way you look, the big Astana where you lived, the blood you had, not even the fingers of Allah perhaps could weave our fabrics into equality. I had to content myself with the privilege of gazing frequently at your fearless loveliness. An ugly servant does not go beyond his little border. Now let us identify the deviations that can be found in this paragraph. So the phrase contrasting patterns is a semantic deviation. It uses the metaphor of patterns to represent the differences between the speaker, Jakar, and Dayang. Another one is the phrase weave our fabrics into equality. So the phrase this phrase is a metaphor for trying to make different people with their unique characteristics and backgrounds, which represented by different fabrics, the same or equal. So the sentence, not even the fingers of Allah perhaps could weave our fabrics into equality, further emphasizes the perceived impossibility of bridging the gap between their statuses of Jakar and Dayang. So it suggests that their differences are so profound that even divine intervention might not be able to make them equal. And then we also have grammatical deviation to the phrase yearning, starve, appears. So this has inconsistent pattern of words or inconsistent grammatical structure because yearning is a verb and then starve and appears are adjectives. Another deviation is graphological deviation, the use of ellipses and then the placement of M dash. And then we also have parallelism, so the underlined phrases leap out of his bed, rush into your room, seize you in his arms, so they have the same grammatical structure. And then for the variations, we have dialect variation, which is the word apa.
Good day, everyone. This is Elisa Osabel, and today I will be pointing out the variations and deviation that are present in the given paragraph. So this is paragraph 47 in The Blue Blood of the Big Astana. But things did not remain as they were. A young Datu from Bonbon came back to ask for your hand. Your Appa was only too glad to welcome him. There was nothing better, he said, than marriage between two people of the same blue blood. Besides, he was growing old. He had no son to take his place some day. Well, the young Datu was certainly fit to take in due time the royal torch your Appa had been carrying for years. But I felt differently, of course. I couldn't have a hand in your marital arrangement. What was I, after all? So, in this paragraph, the deviations and variations that are present or exist here is first in the line, but I felt differently, of course. This line has medium variation because it could be used as spoken language like spoken narrative in which it uses personal pronoun like I, and yes, the I word in the line or in the sentence, and it repeated two times, and as we all know, it is in formal way if we use repetition of pronouns in writing essays. Also, the phrase I wanted. In this part, graphological division exists because of the ellipses, a set of dots that pertains something nga wala siya gipadayon, and it gives readers hanging for wanting more. Now let's have the paragraph 48. Certainly your Appa was right. The young Tatu was handsome and rich too. He had a large tract of land planted with fruit trees, coconut trees, and abaca plants. And you were glad too, not because he was rich, for you were rich yourself. I thought I knew why. The young Dato could rub your soft back better than I whenever you took your bath. His hands were not as callous as mine. However, I didn't talk to you about it, of course. So the first deviation that I think exists here is in the line, certainly your Appa was right. It is graphological deviation because it should have punctuation in the word certainly. Another deviation is in the line, young Dato was handsome, period, and rich too. So in this instance, graphological deviation is also exists here because of the period, that space between handsome then and, which should form a single sentence, and the word and cannot appear in the first word of a sentence. Also in the third line, and is a variation of medium because as what I have said earlier, that word cannot appear in the first word of a sentence. Then we also have graphological division that exists in the line with a set of dots or ellipses because of its punctuation, the ellipses. Yes. So I think that's all.
And now, I am going to identify the foregrounding in number 50. The people sweated profusely. There was a great deal of hammering, cutting, and lifting as they set up posts. Plenty of eating and jabbering, and chewing of betel nuts, a native seasoned tobacco, and emitting of red saliva afterwards. In just one day, the additional wings were finished. Hammering, cutting, and lifting signifies the action of working the wings in the Astana. Plenty of eating and jabbering, and chewing of betel nuts and non-native tobacco, and emitting or red saliva afterwards. We can see graphological and grammatical deviation here because of the punctuations used in the sentence. Instead of using commas, it uses a period. And another is grammatical deviation because of the structure of the sentence. It should be continuous. Lastly, in the last sentence, in just one day, the additional wings were finished. As you can see, it has an apostrophe after the period that makes it graphological division because of the incorrect placing of the punctuation.
Now let's have paragraph 54. Male dancers would crouch low with a wooden spear, a kris, or a barong in one hand and a wooden shield in the other. They stimulated bloody warfare by dashing through the circle of other dancers and clashing against each other. Native flute, drums, gabang, agongs, and kulintangs contributed much to the musical gaiety of the night. Dance, singing delight, music, noise, laughter, music swelled out into the world like a heart full of blood, vibrant, palpitating. But it was my heart that thrilled with pain. The people would cheer, "Long live the Dayang-Dayang and the Dato, Mura-Muraan," at every intermission. And I would cheer, too, mechanically, before I knew. I would be missing you so. And now we will identify the deviation. So, we have the phrase music swell. It is a semantic deviation because we all know that music don't swell. So the word swell here suggests that the music is expanding and filling the entire place.
And then the sound of music is like a heart full of blood, vibrant and palpitating. So this is a semantic division as well. So the metaphor of a heart full of blood represents the music's energy and life force, emphasizing its liveliness and vibrancy. And then the phrase, my heart that thrilled with pain. So this phrase implies that the speaker is experiencing intense sorrow and longing. So those are the semantic divisions. Now we also have graphological divisions. We can notice the placement of the periods in the words such as dance, singing, delight, music, noise, laughter. So typically, periods are used to indicate the end of a sentence or a complete thought. However, in this case, the periods are placed after each individual word. So by isolating each word with a period, it creates a pause and emphasis on the word. And then we can also notice the four periods in the last sentence. So it's a graphological division as well. And then we also notice the placement of the M dash and then the capitalization. So the word mura is capitalized, which add emphasis in the name of the dato. And then now let's identify the language variations that can be found here. So we have the dialect variations. The words barong, gabang, agong. So these are Filipino words. Then we also have medium and tenor variation, which interplay. So in the sentence, the people would cheer, long live the dayang-dayang and the dato, mura-muraan. So here the speaker wrote or copied how the people would normally cheer. So the voice here changes and it became a conversation now.
Continuation and finding the different foregroundings and variations. Let me read the piece. Remember, you were about to cry, dayang-dayang, for as the people said, you would soon be separated from your parents. Your husband would soon take you to Bonbon, and you would live there like a country woman. But as you unexpectedly caught a glimpse of me, you smiled once, a little. And I know why my hair lip amused you again. I smiled back at you and withdraw at once. I withdraw at once because I could not bear farther seeing you sitting beside the young Datu. And knowing fully well that I who had sweated, labored, and served you like a dog, no, shame on me to think of all that at all. For was it not but a servant's duty? The first foregrounding that I've noticed is the grammatical deviation. Now, the line, as the people said, we can just omit the and complete the phrase as the people said. Now, although it can vary or it can be accepted to some, but this deviates from the expected structure of grammar or the structure of words in a given sentence or phrases. The first variation that I have noticed is on the sentence, but as you unexpectedly caught a glimpse of me, you smiled once, a little. Why? This line exhibits a shift in tenor, moving from a more formal tone to a slightly intimate or conversational tone as the speaker describes a personal interaction between characters. The third foregrounding that exists is the graphological deviation. In this sentence, and I know why my hair lip amused you again, there is a unwanted and unnecessary placement of colon where in fact The sentence could be completed without it, and I know why my hair lip amused you again. We can use that instead of putting a column. I also included semantic deviation on the phrase my hair lip amused you again, where here the phrase my hair lip amused you deviates semantically, as it's not the hair lip itself that's causing the amusement, but likely the personal interaction between the addresser and the addressee. Lastly, we can see a semantic deviation on the phrase like a dog. This is a hyperbolic comparison using the dog to express extreme willingness or subservience. Now, it deviates from a literal comparison to a dog or the literal meaning of a dog. That's all for tonight. Thank you and God bless.
Two, I had amassed a little fortune after years of sweating. So this line contains grammatical deviation since the line started with the word to. So to follow the standard format in writing a grammatically correct sentence, it should be, I had amassed a little fortune after years of sweating too. I could have taken 2 or 3 wives, but I had not found anyone resembling you, lovely blue blood. So this line contains discoursal deviation where there is an addresser, message, addressee.